Welcome, friends! It is another fabulous Friday here with your nonprofit social media nerds. I am your host, Josh Hirsch, as always, with your co-host, the fabulous Julia Campbell. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Josh. I'm so excited to be here today. Happy Friday. Happy Pride Month. Happy June. Happy summer. If you are somewhere where it actually is summer, like Dana is in LA and Josh is in Florida. I'm in Boston where it is 62 degrees and raining. So yay, summer. If you don't know who I am, I'm Julia Campbell, and I help nonprofits and social causes engage their communities and build their movements using social media and digital tools. And we have Josh, of course. We are the Nonprofit Nerds. He's the Director of Mission and Communication at Susan G. Komen, Florida. And before I introduce our special guest, I wanted to make sure that you heard my big announcement. So I've been teasing a big announcement on social media for a few days. And of course, everyone thought I was pregnant. And I was like, no. And also, I keep saying it's a professional announcement. But why is it when women have an announcement, that's literally the first thing that they think? Secondly, people thought I was running for office, but that's not this year. That might be later. So the big announcement is that I'm hosting a live event, the Nonprofit Social Media Summit. It's going to be in Boston at Babson College on August 29th. It's limited to 80 people and it's definitely going to sell out. And I am so excited. See, I feel like I'm a professional conference goer and I know what I hate about conferences and I know what I like about conferences. And this one is going to be amazing. It's really going to be great. So go to npsocialsummit.com and get your tickets. Also, during the live broadcast, make sure you put your questions in the comments. We'll be monitoring them and we'll make sure that we get to all of them, as it kind of makes sense. And then lastly, I just kind of want to know where you're watching from. We always do this. Where are you watching from? And what was the last thing you watched on Netflix? And now I'm thinking, what was the last thing I watched on Netflix?
I watched a really good show on Netflix. I just finished Dark Tourist, which is
what is it called?
It's called Dark Tourist. It's a Netflix docuseries. It's a guy who travels all over the world to forbidden zones, goes to radioactive, decommissioned areas, goes to places that you're really not supposed to be, but apparently there's a whole tourist world out there for it.
Cool. All right. Well, let me. Yes.
David Letterman.
Yes.
David Letterman chats with Ellen and Kanye West.
Oh my gosh.
It's on my list.
I have not seen either of those. Oh, Dead to Me. Is that Netflix? I can't remember what channel I'm watching 90% of the time, but Dead to Me is really good with Christina Applegate. Okay.
We see our friend Jennifer Garcia from the Dayton Children's is here.
Thank you and Judy Anderson. Hello. I love Judy. Hi, Judy.
Who else?
Judy Anderson is also a consultant, tagging people, which is amazing. All right. So, Dana, forgive me. I'm going to mispronounce your last name. Dana Bakic?
That was right.
Yes. Okay. CEO and founder of Positive Equation, a social media consultancy focused on helping nonprofits and purpose-driven businesses amplify their stories through digital and social channels. So she is a woman after my own heart. She believes social media has the power to inspire change, as do I, rather than just pushing out promotions, pushing out marketing messages. What's really cool about Dana, she's produced digital campaigns with American Idol, Movember, Dress for Success, and I have to say the Dress for Success Giving Tuesday campaign is my favorite Giving Tuesday campaign around. USTA, #Lunchbag, Unseen, and others. Although based in Los Angeles, Dana loves being at 30,000 feet, heading somewhere new, and be sure to see her if you see her. Be sure to say hi if you see her across the aisle. So, hi, Dana.
Hi, I'm
How
so
are
glad to be
you?
here. Thanks for having me, guys.
What's it like in LA today?
It's actually kind of dreary.
Oh, all right. Well, what's it normally
Windows are
like?
great
Not
here, and
dreary.
it's not the 75 and sunny California that you expect on a June day. Actually, June is kind of like June gloom, right? Around here.
I have no idea.
So hopefully it'll clear off in the afternoon, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning here. So
Oh, right. I forgot that. Also, I love California. My heart is in California, truly. I always wanted to move out there, but how did you get started doing this work?
Oh, good question. So I grew up, as we were talking about with you guys earlier before we started, I grew up in Sarasota, Florida, and I went to school at UCF, Go Knights, in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
And when I was a freshman, I got involved with an organization called Dance Marathon, which is
UCF is huge.
Children's Miracle Network.
Yes, UCF has a huge dance marathon. Very familiar with it.
Yes. So we actually, did you say UF?
I'm familiar with UCF's dance marathon because I went to UF and I'm familiar with our dance marathon. But I know that UCF as itself is very well known for their dance marathon.
Is it a Florida thing?
No.
I don't know what it is.
No.
Oh no.
It's all over.
A dance marathon? Oh, I don't know what it is.
There's over like 100 different universities and colleges that do them, and they all support Children's Miracle Network. Actually, I think except for one, which I think is Penn State, which I'm not sure. But anyways, so Dance Marathon, we started, and you basically dance for, all the schools are different, but 12 to 48 hours.
That actually sounds amazing.
And it's awesome, but it's a ton of programming. And like you mentioned, UF was kind of one of the strong leaders in Florida. And to give you perspective, these dance marathons that the schools put on is all student run. And it provides, I think, over a third now of all of the fundraising support for the charity.
Wow.
For Children's Miracle Network. So it's incredible. UF, tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember they were raising close to like $3 to $4 million.
Possibly. It's been forever, so
it was pretty impressive. And when I was there, UCF, we were at like $25,000. And then myself and just like this really big team, and social media was just starting to come into play. This was in 2007, 2008. And so, I mean, things have changed so much on social since then. But basically, through growing that organization, now we put into these different processes and practices, and the Dance Marathon program now is raising like $2 million. So over a short amount of time, I just really got involved in a hands-on fundraising, communications, partnerships process in college. And then I worked for a charity straight out of college called Take Stock in Children, which is Florida-based. And then I really had the passion and desire to move to New York City.
Yay,
and spread my wings and do some challenges. And so I ended up working for some amazing agencies working on for-profit. So, I mean, really large campaigns from Delta Airlines to Sports Illustrated to The Honest Company to a majority of the sports leagues. And then at the end of the day, I still realized that I wanted, like, my heart and my passion was for working for nonprofits.
Yep.
And then also female entrepreneurs that had a for-profit company, but were helping to sustain other communities of lower impact. So if you're selling a candle and that candle is created by women that are refugees, you know what I mean? Like that kind of sustainability.
Social entrepreneur or social impact businesses.
Yeah. So 2.5 years ago, I left New York, moved to Los Angeles, and started Positive Equation. And on a whim, really. And then luckily, just through everyone that I've worked with, slowly by word of mouth, it's grown. And now I'm here.
So do you help nonprofits run micro influencer campaigns?
I do. So what was interesting last year was I was running much more of an agency model where I had a small team. Mm-hmm. And so we had monthly retainers or year-long retainers and worked on the strategy and actual execution of a multitude of things for nonprofits. And then this year, following after your footsteps, getting more into the consulting and speaking space around topics, right, that I've proven through working on different campaigns with nonprofits. So it's kind of evolved. Really cool.
So for people that don't know, and I'm not even 100% sure that I know the term, what's meant by the term micro influencer?
So there's a couple different tiers. So it actually, before micro, there's nano. Okay. And pretty sure everyone that's listening probably has a social media channel. And if you have over 100 followers, congratulations, you're an influencer.
Yay!
So nano is if you have over 100. Micro.
That'd be a great title for a book. Congratulations, you're an influencer.
Gotta mark that down. Micro is really 1,000 and over. And then you have macro, which is 100,000 and over.
Okay.
And then mega is 1 million and over. And I think
Taylor Swift,
Kim Kardashian.
right?
Yes, all the people.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when you work with somebody that is in that $1 million or even in the 500,000 or over, their engagement rate on content is so much lower. Mm-hmm. Because if you post something, most likely your followers are your friends or people who have met you, right? And so they actually care about what you're posting
Right.
and see it because they've more frequently engaged with you. So it goes from like a 0.5 to 1% of somebody like a Kim Kardashian versus I looked at mine recently and I'm at like 11 to 12% average engagement.
So it's both the size of audience as well as the connection to the content source.
Right. I mean, as the bigger you get, the more likely you honestly have followers that are in the Philippines or in China or areas that might not even be relevant to your brand, but some people don't do that back end research on the data. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. That's why I think there's a lot of, I don't know, did you guys see the article that came out in the New York Times a couple years ago about all the bots and spam accounts that were cleaned out?
Oh, I know that I lost, when that happened, I lost like 300 Twitter followers. That's all I know. I freaked out. And then I lost like 50 Instagram followers. I don't even have that many. But I did notice when they did the clean out that I lost some followers. And I think some of those mega influencers you're talking about lost millions or even thousands.
I mean, American Idol recently, they continue to do sweeps, lost 20,000 in a day.
Wow. All right. So what we're trying to say is it's not about numbers.
Right.
It's about influence. Okay. So that makes complete sense to me. So where can nonprofits find these influencers and like how do they begin?
So I love 2 sites. One is called Social Rank.
I'm writing this down. Yes.
And that's for Twitter. So it breaks down your following by who's the most engaged with you, who's the most valuable based on size and engagement. Mm-hmm. And then you can create a list and you can see who those people are.
Cool.
And reach out to them. For Instagram, I use People Map. People Map is incredible. So you get to you can search by a hashtag if you're looking to find new people. So let's just say your organization has to deal with homelessness. Mm-hmm. So you could do hashtag, you could do homelessness or homeless advocacy or anything. And a bunch of other hashtags will come up. And then it pulls up posts that people have used that hashtag. So you can go in and you can see who's posting about this that might then be interested in my cause. Or on the flip side, if you want to work with somebody that's already kind of a warm lead that already follows you, you can put in your channel and analyze it, see your followers, search by size of followers, and same thing, engagement rate. And then you can reach out to them, you can create a list. And within People Map, there's actually an influencer campaign setting.
Oh, cool.
So if you say, okay, I've selected 10 people that I think I'd like to be part of my campaign, once you plug them all in, it gives you an estimated amount of impressions, reach, engagement, followers that you will gain because of them. Wow. This platform is $20 a month.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Social Rank is $40. So they're truly game changers as far as, because I think what's really important is when you're putting together an influencer campaign, you have to think about what your strategy and your ask is. Like, what do you want this person to do?
Right.
And then at the very end of the day, I think the biggest thing with nonprofits is if you're going to put your time and energy into something, when you have a million things to do, you need to make sure that you can track what's happening.
Yes.
You just put it out and nobody wants to be searching through a bunch of profiles and manually calculating the likes and shares, and that's miserable. Or tracking, did you actually post? Did they not post? Let me hunt them down. So People Map for Instagram takes care of all of that for you.
Oh, it tracks if people posted on your behalf or used your hashtag?
That's
That's
cool.
really cool. Okay.
And you literally put in the influencer handles.
Yep.
Then you put in what account they're working with you on. So if it's, you put in your nonprofit handle. Then you put in the hashtags that they should be using. And then you go into the date range that they should be posting, and then it calculates for you.
Wow. That's really cool. So I talk a lot about social media ambassador programs, and that sounds like a great tool to use if you have a social media ambassador program. You can actually see what's going on. Maybe you get a leaderboard, get a contest. That sounds really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So, when nonprofits find this list of maybe 10 people, 20 people, depending on, I guess, their goal and what they're trying to accomplish, talk a little bit about how they can best engage people. Because I know for me, I am not, a Kim Kardashian, but I still get 5 emails probably a day asking me to tweet a link, asking me to tweet out a crowdfunding campaign with that looks like a cut and pasted email with no personalization that doesn't make any sense. And I know Gary Vaynerchuk had an entire rant on LinkedIn about this. It's actually really good. It's months ago, but he talked about how nonprofits need better manners when approaching people like him. So can you talk about, how can nonprofits approach and engage influencers?
Yes, that is such a crucial point. So you want to make sure that it is authentic ask. So it goes beyond just saying Julia, right? And they think just because they put a name that it's
right.
custom. So I think what's great about a tool like People Map is it shows you when somebody has engaged with your post or commented. So you can literally enter your message saying, hey, Julia, thank you so much for your response to our recent post on da-da-da-da, and you can make it more personalized to that individual. Or look at their actual feed.
Yep.
Does it even make sense? I think a friend of mine...
Right, maybe just do some research.
Yeah, just look at a little bit at their post, because then you're also going to see, do I want this person posting on my behalf?
That's a really good point. That's a very good point, yes.
Like if you're scrolling through and maybe the first 3 images are all about the work they do with animals, and then a couple posts later you're like, I don't really know, it's a scandalous image. You're like, do I want this person reflecting my brand?
Yeah. Or it's something like, the earth is flat. You're like,
not on brand.
I don't know if I want to be associated with that.
Yeah, my friend Shay is an influencer, and we worked together on American Idol, and she brought up a great point where she gets requests all the time, and she does get some from charities, and one that she said was great was an organization realized that she loves her dog. So it was an organization around animals, and they made a comment with her dog's name. So like they made it like a personal gesture, versus she's also had horrific experiences where she just had a baby. So during her pregnancy, she was getting requests to do these like slim fast requests. She's like, do you notice that I'm like 8 months pregnant?
Right. No. It's
so like not making any sense. Yeah.
No.
So I'd say be very personal, be very specific about your ask. Do you want them to do 1 post, 2 posts? A big thing is they should be creating their own content. A lot of times organizations want them to publish a sizzle reel or a video that they've done, but that's not true to what that person posts on the regular. So it's not going to seem real.
Yes. No, that makes complete sense. So putting it in their own words. So maybe giving them some content or
bullet point copy, if it's, I don't know, let's say that you have a big fundraising event coming up that you want to attract people to. Maybe it's you send them the save the date, and then they can take an image that they want of the save the date.
Yep.
Or it's an awareness campaign, and it's just an overall mission driver.
Right.
So you're telling them what the mission is, and then that person can say, you guys, I just found out about this amazing organization. Turn the phone around, look at their website, or look at all the work that they're doing. Just allow them to have the time to make their own content.
That's a great idea. So I see this question that just came in. Is there any platform that works to do this on Facebook? Probably not because of privacy settings, but do either of these tools work on Facebook, or is there a tool that works on Facebook?
Yeah, none of these. They're all Twitter or Instagram based, and even Instagram with their privacy settings has changed what you can pull. Like Social Rank used to be Instagram and YouTube, and now because of what they can pull from the API, it's only Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
No, and Facebook's a bit different because you're not able to pull in a specific post, right, if you don't have access to that person's analytics.
Right. Right. And if it's a private person, like their account is a personal private account, I would imagine that Facebook's not going to open up their API to track that. That's interesting. It's interesting though. I wonder for pages, but it does seem to not make sense. People, I find, they don't use Facebook the same way as they use Twitter and Instagram.
Right.
So it's much more personal and private. At least
Facebook has changed. I mean, I was listening to the F8 overview that Mark gave.
Yes.
I'm such a nerd.
Oh my gosh, it's on my calendar every year. I live stream it. I'm totally, I look forward to it each year.
The whole time really fast.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things, Facebook question was Mark and team, his very large team, are all staying very much on one-to-one communication with their messaging apps and WhatsApp, and a lot of emphasis on groups. So not as much. I mean, we all know this. Brands suffered huge, a year and a half ago, and they drastically changed how they were going to showcase brands' content. So the growth plummeted for brand pages. And so just their use case of what they're trying to do, refocus it on friends and family and niche communities.
I think there's an opportunity in Facebook groups to find influencers.
Yeah, probably. I just don't know if it's as easy to filter through.
Right.
It would just take you a lot more time.
Right. Okay. I'm hearing feedback, and I don't know if that's on my end.
I'm hearing that as well.
Hear it?
I heard it too.
Okay, I was like, if you can't hear it, then I'm just going crazy. It's fine. Okay, It's gone.
I don't hear it anymore. Yeah.
All right. So I know people are going to be asking, is this really a trend? Does it really work? And I'd love to hear an example from your experience of a time that it did work.
Totally. You mentioned in my bio an organization called Unseen. They work with nonprofit sex trafficking organizations all over the world trying to solve that horrific problem. And so I met them at the Social Innovation Summit a couple of years ago in Chicago, and they're based out of North Dakota. And they really wanted to grow their channels, specifically Instagram in this case, with more, and I always caveat, meaningful followers. So at the time, Social Rank still pulled in Instagram data. So we used Social Rank, and I plugged in their channel and was able to do an analysis. And I think we pulled 25 to 50 of their most valuable influencers. And then we went through together and said, do you have personal relationships with these people, and highlighted them? Are there certain people that you wouldn't want to ask? And so we got down to a list of around 10 to 12. And then we developed together our outreach message, which was a DM on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
And you're limited to, I believe, 500 characters. So we went through and curated a message that fit that for each person and sent those out. And then when people responded, the follow-up was, great, can you please share your email address so we can follow up with further information? So it wasn't all through a DM.
And keep track of it better.
Yes. And so then we sent sample copy. In their case, we gave the influencers an option. Again, I'm using influencers. They were very micro. So they were around 1,000 followers. And so we gave sample copy, and we gave them the option for 2 posts. One was a video, and then we sent them 3 images that were all stories of human trafficking victims that had been saved. And we said, please, for your second, we did 2 posts. For your second post, and they were like a week apart, select a story that you feel like resonates with you the most. And if you can share that story and create copy around it, and then put a link in bio to Unseen's website for people to get involved. And that process took about 3 to 4 weeks to put it all together. And after the first video launched, there was, I believe specifically, it was like 19.3% increase in follower growth. And then they've continued. This was in the spring last year. And then I'll never forget, in like November of last year, the CEO emailed me out of the blue and said, do you need a new testimonial? Do you need anything? Like, can I do anything? Because we've seen 50% growth over growth since we've like worked on these tactics consistently with our team. And that was the coolest thing I had ever heard, because
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great when you're empowering a team to learn something that they can then do themselves later, right? And you don't have to always be there. But that to me was great, because it was working with people. And this is the biggest difference. They were influencers that already loved their mission. Right. They already knew what it was.
I'm waiting for some of the nonprofits that I donate to monthly to reach out to me, because
it's so
like, I'll totally promote you.
Yeah, just ask.
Yeah.
Right? If I was to have, if Children's Miracle Network was to come to me and say like, hey, would you share? I'd be like, heck yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like people don't know how to make the ask.
They don't. And they also don't, they just see numbers. So they see, oh, Ellen DeGeneres has this many numbers, or Oprah, or whatever. And they don't make the connection that just finding, like spending a tiny little bit more time and doing research on people that would actually make sense. So I don't know, Josh, if you do this in your work. I think you do.
Yeah, we had a really effective, I guess we'll call micro-influencers now, campaign with our annual race this past year. So we kind of did what you did, but more looked at who are connected and what areas do we want to get in. So we knew that mommy bloggers was a big area that we wanted to get in. So we connected with a mommy blogger that has a connection to our organization, that already knew our staff. So we brought them into the fold. We also identified other local media personalities that have a connection to the cause. So once again, it wasn't just about, hey, let me go find these people that are tweeting or posting blogs in the community. Let me go find them that are also connected to our cause, whether they're part of the inner circle or we want to bring them into the inner circle. So this is, so this is year 2 as we go into this new program, and I'm hoping you can answer this for me. So we're putting together a toolkit for them of, as you kind of said, recommended content. But do I want to say, all right, well, here's our content calendar for the race, and this is when I'll be sharing this type of information. Do I say, here's post A, and, share post A on your page? Do I want you to be inspired? I mean, what is going to work best? Do I want them to post organically, or do I want them to share my post from the page organically to their channels?
It's a good question.
Well, creating their own content is always ideal.
Okay.
Instead of a graphic, or instead of something that's branded, I would absolutely give them an example. So people want to be able to say, what are my do's and what are my don'ts? Because you want to make sure that they're also putting your mission and your organization in the best light, and speaking properly about your mission and about the event that you have. So I would say give them a couple different examples of what an organic post could look like, whether it's a video, whether it's a graphic. If you're asking for more than one post, then maybe one of them is something that you've created and the other one feels more organic. We did this with American Idol too, where we used a platform called Heartbeat, and they work with specifically only micro influencers. And we wanted just to raise kind of a grassroots level awareness because our show was on a different night than it had been. So we, through the platform, they facilitate it. And it was literally like people submitting them watching, taking a photo of the American Idol on their computer with curled up with their cat or something. But their friends love that because that's more authentic to them. And it's like, oh yeah, cute. Or it's their little, some of the cutest ones were the little kids singing the songs of the contestants.
Yes.
Alejandro was a big one. So kids were singing one of his like main chorus parts. And that's adorable. Like that's what
we want to see. Well, because we would do that anyway. So that's something that I would do anyway, or my kids would do anyway. So it blends seamlessly into the newsfeed and it doesn't stick out like it's an ad or a sponsored post or even just something that someone asked someone else to do.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. And look at that. We got some free consulting out of you. I thought that's a great question. Definitely, I get asked that with social media ambassadors. Should we direct them to the page like Josh asked and share out? And I always recommend, no, because then it looks like promotion. But if it's just me saying, I really support this cause, I love it, I want to raise money for it, this is my story about why I love it, that's just so much more authentic and I think so much more relevant. But well, we are at 12:30. Do you have any other questions, Josh, before we wrap up?
No, I think you really cleared up in my mind how we need to be tackling our own campaign this year as we move forward. So this was kind of twofold for me. One, we wanted to bring you on as guest, but I wanted to learn from you and see how we can improve our own organization.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Let me know any questions you have. The only other thing I would say is, because I think the biggest thing is you're asking these people to post for free. So just be respectful of their time and don't ask them, can you please post 4 times for me at this specific time frame with this? Like, they're not professionals. It's you and me. Well, we're professionals in social, but most people aren't going to be professionals at doing this. So if somebody has 500 followers, give them some time to like prep for it, to ask you questions, and don't overdo it.
Okay. I love that.
I have one last question.
Sure.
All right, so we want to make them stand out and we want them to feel special. What about creating a badge that they can put on their profile picture or creating a Facebook frame that they could use?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, the biggest thing, I didn't wrap this up with Unseen. The other aspect of what we did was when we got their email, we asked them for their address. So we put together, although we didn't pay them, we sent them a swag kit. So we sent them a t-shirt. Unseen has a bunch of great stuff. Hats.
Yes.
If you don't have swag, send a thank you card.
Yep.
A handwritten card. And then the other thing was, tell them the success of what you did. They want to know. Like, you're part of that, or say you allowed us to get, whether it's a big thing or a small, 90 new followers. We're able to do this. You helped save this many lives. You helped us get here. Like, tell them that. So whether you're sending a gift or not, a thank you card goes so far.
I love that. I think that's so important to acknowledge them, to, even though they are working for free, and even though the impact sometimes can be hard to translate. So that's why I think we don't tell people about the impact, especially on social. But I think, saying something like, we were able to reach this many more people and open this many more people's eyes to the problem of human sex trafficking. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So where can we find more about you? And what's something you're working on that you'd like us to know about?
You can find information about me at Dana Bakich on all things social. If you
you got that coordinated name. My handle is different on every platform, so I'm the worst. But you're at Dana Bakich on everything.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're looking for Europe advice, go to my Instagram account. I just got back. Lots of stuff there. Awesome post. And then at Positive Equation with only one E on social channels, and positiveequation.com.
Very cool.
And what am I working on? I have an online course that is really focused on trainings, and I specifically say for today's nonprofits, so trying to make it very relevant. And always really looking to hear what pain points nonprofits are having and how we can help solve them, which I'm sure you are too. So if there's any things that are triggering or seem daunting, to let Julia and I know, and I'm sure between the two of us, we'll figure out an answer.
Yeah, and that's what I think the strength of the group, the nonprofit social media storytelling group, is how we connected, but seeing the pain points, seeing the challenges, seeing the questions. And that's how we really craft our Facebook Lives, and a lot of the talks that we give is from advice in that group. But thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
We appreciate it so much.
Insight. It's very generous of you. Thank you. And for everybody else, you know us. We don't know when the next one is. It'll be sometime. But we're working on the Nonprofit Social Media Summit. So make sure you at least check out the website, npsocialsummit.com, or you can find me on Twitter, find me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to share more information about that. So until next time, happy Friday, and take care, and have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Thanks.
Bye, guys.